Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Welcome to episode 97 of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name is Chris Hollifield. Welcome to my show. Welcome to the podcast where I introduce you to locals, professionals, musicians, everyday people in Salt Lake City that I believe is making the city what it is today, making it a little bit better, making it a city that I'm proud to call home. So thank you for listening to another episode of the podcast. IamSaltLake.com is the website. You can find all of the previous episodes for the show. You can stream them right there online. You can download them. Listen to them when you want to. So take a few minutes and check out some of the previous episodes. I've talked to a lot of really cool people here in Salt Lake City, and hopefully you're taking the time to listen, get to know them. You're trying some of these restaurants, these cafes. You're attending some of these events. You're really enjoying the city and having some fun. Going into the fall months now. It's September. Summer is pretty much over. Yes, it's still warm out, but fall is right around the corner. A lot of really neat things going on. You got the Greek Festival, the fair, lot going on here in September. So hopefully you guys are taking advantage of that. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at I Am Salt Lake. I try to keep you up to date on all of the events going on in and around the city of Salt Lake City. So make sure to follow me on Twitter and let your family and friends know about the podcast. Very much appreciated. This episode, I sat down with Don Hamp. He is the CEO of Merco Local. You can find that at mercolocal.com. It's a brand new website that spotlights and has profiles, like a social media hub for mom and pop shops in and around Salt Lake City. It's a brand new website. It's just getting going. There's a handful of shops on there right now. Check that out. If you're a local business, get a hold of Don and get involved with this website. It's a really great thing that he's got going on. So again, check that out, mercolocal.com. Anyways, he came over to my place. We sat down. We had a conversation. I got to know him a little bit better, find out all about Merco Local. And this is the conversation that I had with Don. Enjoy it, and thank you for listening to another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. Why don't you just kind of, introduce yourself in what it is that you do? I mean, let's just kind of start with some introductions and kind of share with the listeners a little bit about Merco Local.
Okay, so Merco Local, what it is, I've created we're calling it essentially a social hub. And when I say social hub, I'm trying to give mom and pop shops a fighting chance. When I was looking at the market and everything that's out there, the mom and pop shops, they're paying as much, if not more, to advertise than some of these
big
large franchises,
chains, stuff like that,
national franchises and chains. So the mom and pop shops, they're kind of
they're a dying breed, right?
Absolutely a dying breed. And so what I tried to do was just increase their overall presence and do it in the simplest, easiest way possible. So I created a site, mercolocal.com, and what it is just mom and pop shops. I have no big box stores, no national franchises, and I'm trying to put the mom and pop back in shopping. These mom and pop shops have the ability to all of their social presence. They can be shared on Facebook and Twitter and all of that. They can create promotions, and they're not penalized for it through pay-per-clicks or having to share the revenue. Their promotions don't even have to be money off. Their promotions can be their daily specials. I mean, if you've got a great little restaurant that has fantastic daily specials, sometimes you just go there for the soup. And if people know and it's a famous recipe or something, then they can announce that. Or a flower shop that has a shipment coming in. Those can be promotions, and those can be something that makes sense. Giving away their bottom line is just going to put them farther in debt. So what I've done is I've just put together something that makes sense for them. It's simple, it's easy, and for the consumers, there's a paradigm shift that's already there. People are saying I should shop local. People are saying I don't want to go to big box stores. I don't want to go to Walmart.
I want something a little different.
Yeah. Well, not so much just different as the big box stores and the national franchises. They take the money out of the community. In the mom and pop shops, any money spent is going back into the community. Local First does a great job of talking about this and telling the public that, look, for every dollar spent, if it's spent at a national franchise, 16 cents stays within the local community. But for every dollar spent at a mom and pop shop, up to 55 cents stays within the local community. And quite often it can even be higher than that because a lot of these mom and pop shops buy from each other. When they buy local, so they're buying from local vendors, they're buying from people who are doing things within the community, then that money continues to recirculate. So the more money that is spent in these mom and pop shops or, local stores, the more money that we get to keep in our community, and our community thrives. The more money that we spend in superstores, the people in Arkansas can enjoy, the fruits of our labor.
Yeah. So when did the idea for this come about? Like, how long have you been, has the website really even launched yet?
So the website launched on July 19th. Quietly.
Okay.
We got everything up. We're in a beta mode, meaning that we're doing a lot of testing. We've found a few issues and we're fixing them as quick as we can. But the site is live. Right now we have 33 of our mom and pop shops in there. We've got,
and I'm sure that's growing
in.
every day.
Every day.
Yeah,
every day.
yeah.
In fact, a plug for Scott Pines. He with Cactus and Tropicals. He sat down with me today, and he's my newest merchant. Yesterday I met with Jed at Jed's Barbershop, and it's, there's one thing about this. I am meeting such amazing people.
Well, it's kind of like this podcast even.
Absolutely.
I get to meet people like yourself, that are doing cool things in Salt Lake, and otherwise that opportunity maybe wouldn't have arisen.
Right.
And so absolutely. So is it an app as well, or is it just on a website? I guess you can access it from like a web browser on your
So we have
smartphone.
the web browser.
Yeah.
We finished the Android app today. It should be in the Android store probably by next week. Apple had an issue, and so we're actually waiting on them to buy us off as a developer. Our Apple app is complete. And I'm hoping to have it within the next 2 weeks.
Awesome.
So probably, the second week of September, possibly even the first week of September, we might have it done. So, absolutely. There are 2 apps.
And right now it's just Salt Lake. Do you plan on expanding out of Salt Lake, or is it just kind of?
Yes. Well, actually, so we want to go all the way up the Wasatch Front for the first little while.
Or outside of Utah,
Salt Lake
guess.
and Layton, Ogden and Provo, Park City. Then, if everything goes right, we've proved our concept and we're happy with what it's doing and people are happy with how it's working. We're going to take that feedback, make it even better, do what we need to do. And then, we've got more cities to come. There's a few cities that I've identified that I really want to try the same thing in because the local movement is big. People are excited in those areas to buy local. And if I have to change the mind of 1 million people, I'm in trouble. But if 1 million people are saying, I really want to do this, but how? Then I have a fighting chance. So the intent really is to get in there and give those people who are asking for it something that they want.
Yeah.
Yes.
So people go to the website, they can search for a business that they want to shop at, or explain kind of how it, like someone like myself, how would I use it in my everyday life?
So it's not far-fetched from a lot of the local a lot of the directories that are out there. Probably the biggest difference, you go on the website, and if you want to look at food and dining, you go to food and dining and it will list all the restaurants on there. But the restaurants, every one of them are a mom and pop shop. They're not a national chain. That's one of the biggest differences. When you look at their page is it's photos of them and it talks about them, and I'm encouraging them to add blogs to them. And if they have videos or they have, their photo galleries, we've tried to keep it wide open, very visual. So it's not just a directory.
Yeah.
We're not looking to be a directory. We really want to kind of add some heart and soul back into it.
A little interaction, a little bit of themselves on the website.
Absolutely.
Really. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, these people put their heart and soul into what they're doing, but in order for them to market the way that they're told they're supposed to market and say, look at me, they have to kind of become a little bit of a blank slate and a little bit more corporate in structure. And I think marketing as a whole, people learn to say, look at me, look at what I'm doing. For mom and pop shops, it's not effective. And the reason why it's not effective is they just don't have the money to say, look at me. So
their advertising budget usually is minimal, if anything.
Absolutely.
If anything.
Absolutely. And so what I'm trying to say is every one of these businesses have a group of followers. They have people who are loyal to them. They love them. They appreciate what they do. And instead of them saying, I want to add one more person to this list, what I'm trying to do is create a community. And within that community, people can say, I'm going to promote this. I'm going to add a special, whatever. And then it's shared on any of the social media. And then if somebody clicks on that special and then they come back to the site, then they're going to say, hey, what else is here? And then they start looking around. So instead of saying, look at me, they're offering something, but then they're also bringing their audience in
to check out the website.
To check out the website. Yeah. And so everybody brings in their little slice of the pie, and they get to introduce their followers to other people. Somebody can't go to they're not going to go to the same restaurant over and over and over.
Yeah, we have our favorites.
We have our favorites, absolutely. And there's ones that we frequent more often than others. But at the same time, you want to explore other things. I mean, you also don't want to hate your favorite because you've been there too much. And so this just gives our community as a whole a way of saying, okay, if I'm not going to go to my favorite, maybe I can go to somewhere else that's still going to support the community. One of the things that makes me always laugh is they'll talk about a mom and pop shop is often referred to as one of the best hidden gems. Well, that's not good for the bottom line. I mean, if you're hiding, it's not a good place to be.
The business will go under, and you got to share your found loves.
Right.
Really, if you have a favorite restaurant, share it with your friends. Right?
And so, this just gives people an opportunity to bring their followers in. And as a community, I mean, the local community in Salt Lake is phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there is just such a strong bond, and people understand and they believe in it.
Do you think that the local community is as big? Would you say in other cities buying local is as big? I just notice it so much in Salt Lake, with the farmers markets and all of that. I don't know if it's as big in other. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
There are a couple other target cities that I have that we're going to next, and I'd rather not explain the whole business model. But at the same time, there are some that are huge. I mean, one that I'm actually not pursuing because what I'm trying to do is done in 15 different fashions. But Seattle is a great example of, where everybody is very much in the local community and they push for that. It's not an area that I'm actually going to pursue because there are a lot of people trying to do this, and that market's really saturated with attempts.
Yeah.
We're not going to attempt. We're really getting after this, and we're going to try to do something to help people on both levels. I want to offer something to the consumers, but I want to offer something to the merchants as well.
So how does a business get involved? Like say a business is listening and you have a local business. I mean, what kind of guidelines or stipulations? I mean, obviously you say not any chains. Is there an amount of businesses, like say they have 6 stores along Salt Lake City or something, does that make them a chain in your eyes?
So the criteria that I use is the exact same criteria that Local First uses.
Okay.
So essentially you have to be independently owned. You can't have a corporate office outside of the state. Now I do have one business that is in many states, and that's Rodizio Grill.
But they got great food, so you made the exception for that.
But you know what? Rodizio Grill is actually a Utah locally owned business. The owner of Rodizio Grill, Ivan, is a good friend of mine. And he created the business. He's branched out. He's franchised, and it's in other states. But one of the beautiful things about that particular business, other people are spending money in other states and bringing it back to our community. So I'm going to support that, and that's okay. To answer your question on the others, if the corporate office is outside of the state, then it's not a Utah local business. They have to be responsible for, they have the ability to change their own branding. They are responsible for all their own advertising. They are privately owned, not publicly traded. Actually, when you go, if someone goes on and they say, register this shop, it actually lists the criteria and they have to say yes, 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 all the way through. Once they've listed yes across all the criteria, then it will allow them to register. So the criteria is there and they have to agree and say that they do fit within that criteria before they can be on the site.
Doing this, I mean, without obviously, I'm not looking for any secrets or anything, but what's been like the most challenging thing? Everything?
Thinking outside of the box continually.
Because you want to create something unique, something that hasn't been thought of, maybe? Is that what you mean a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if it's a commodity, then I'm done. If I'm offering something that is just done every single day and we're not offering anything different, I'm in trouble. And so not only are we creating something that is just a little different and does offer a very niche area and a niche market, but there is so much innovation still left to do. I mean, we've got 1.0 done and we're happy about it, but there are so many changes we want to add and so many things we want to do, and trying to make sure that we can do that and make that fit and still do it within a budget. And I mean, if there was no budget and we were fine, I mean, we could create anything. But, the reality of it is every dollar that goes into it, we want to make sure that we get that back so that my staff gets paid. I take a check sooner or later. I'm 10 months without a check so far.
Yeah. So this is your full-time thing then? Now.
Yeah, I have been doing this since October.
Now, yes. Did you go to school for anything with this, or I mean, what is your background?
So I'm a University of Utah graduate.
Yeah.
I got my MBA from the U. I emphasized in marketing and entrepreneurship. Before this, I was actually in the corporate world. I ran several operations for an environmental firm. And I just got to a point where I said, I want to do something different. It's time to do something different. I want to do something that matters. And
you feel like giving something back to the community is what matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you can just do something and make yourself a lot of money, and that's fantastic. But I mean, much like what you're doing, it's something that you can be passionate about. But when you do it, there's a feeling of satisfaction.
Oh, absolutely.
I've helped other people.
Yeah.
I've given somebody else something. I'm trying to help out merchants, and I'm trying to help out consumers. I mean, consumers may argue that, well, if there aren't 50% off deals all day long, it's not what I'm looking for. But I think there is a good sized group of people that say, I would like to shop local. And
I'm one of them.
And the question is where? Unfortunately, a local store, if they're branded well, you walk up to the front door and you say, well, is it a national chain? I deal with this every day. I have to actually research the businesses that we go to talk to because are they a chain?
Well, and a lot of them put on this like facade like that they are.
They need to.
It's like, okay, if we have to keep it this way, but then you find out that their corporate office is in Chicago or something like that. And you're just like, well, wait a minute, I feel cheated here.
I feel deceived.
And I can already tell I'm going to love the website just because I'm searching all the time. And I feel like a lot of these other sites that are out there, you have to filter so much.
Absolutely.
And if you can go to one main hub and know, hey, you know what? I trust you. I trust that you've done your research. And be a little bit of my own research as well, but be able to give back to the community as well. Would you say that that's been one of the most rewarding things then? I mean, I was going to kind of ask you, like, what would you say some of the rewarding things? We've kind of talked about challenging things, rewarding things. What would that be for you? One of the most rewarding things, I think, hands down, is when I sit down with
a local business owner. And by the way, if you are a local business owner, it's tough to get through your doors. The gatekeepers sometimes.
It is very tough.
Gatekeepers can be tough, and unfortunately, a lot of them are like, no, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it because they've been pitched by some of these others and they're charging so much and it's not worth my time. I got work to do. But when you actually sit down with a business owner and you get to hear why they're doing what they're doing, and maybe it's a second generation business or a third generation and there's a history there and they're passionate about it and they love their business. And then when I get to sit down and I talk to them and I get to hear all of that and I get excited about it, but then I'm passionate and I tell them about what I'm doing and they're like, it's about time. This works and I'm happy about this and I'm excited. And then all of a sudden they're saying, I'm pulling for you. I want it to work,
well, because if they're not successful, or if you're not successful, they're not going to be successful and vice versa. So you want everybody to win here.
Yeah.
If the business doesn't see, it's like, okay, well, wait a minute here. Everybody's got to be successful.
Absolutely. I mean, them advertising with me, I mean, I am not going to erode their bottom line. I am not going to prevent them from being successful if for some reason this doesn't go the way I hope it does.
Yeah.
But if it does, and people really latch onto it and they do agree that this is the better way, that's where the good stuff is, because at that point, the business owners are meeting new customers. There are different people coming in. Sales are increasing, gosh, heaven forbid we actually start hiring some new employees at mom and pop shops.
Could you imagine that, right?
And that's fantastic. And then we're winning. We're winning as a community. And, when I get to that point, that's when I know I did something right. And that's what I'm really pursuing.
So you mentioned, we kind of briefly, you went to the U of U. Did you grow up here in Salt Lake then?
I grew up in Tooele.
Okay.
Lived out there until I was 17, went in the Marine Corps, traipsed around the world, went to war, come back, went to college, and I did my undergrad up at Utah State. And then I went to work for 15 years and just decided it was time to do something different. I went back, got my master's degree at the right time. I left my job and now it's time to pursue something different.
So you're a little bit of a go-getter. You're kind of a risk taker a little bit. Would you say that? I mean, what motivates you? I mean, why is that just kind of the person you are? Or why do you think you are the way you are with that?
Oh, I don't know. I'm an adrenaline junkie on every level. Raced motocross, rode bulls. I mean, you name it. But quite honestly, I've just always been one of those people that
likes to try new things.
I don't half-ass things. If I'm going to try something, I mean, I really get after it. If go big or go home, really kind of.
And a lot of people can learn from that, really. I think a lot of people are scared to try new things.
I think so. There was one of the most amazing sayings I read a while ago, and it's just kind of been a little bit of a mantra, and it says, being an entrepreneur is living like nobody else would for a short while so you can live like everyone else can't for the rest of your life. And I think it's brilliant and it just makes sense. So, I work pretty much 14-hour days. I've worked 7 days a week for 10 months now without a paycheck.
Yeah.
Every day that an insurance payment comes out, a house payment comes out, I'm terrified. I mean, it's going to get scary here in a little while, but instead of saying, no, I need to back off, I need to go find a job and give up on something that I truly believe in, dig a little deeper, work a little harder.
A lot of jobs, I mean, granted, you're just making somebody else richer. You got to help yourself out a little bit.
There's another great saying that I really like. You can't sell your job, but you can sell your business. And so you need to choose wisely.
So what advice would you give, like, say, a business owner? I guess, local business, whatever. I mean, you've opened businesses, you've started businesses. What advice would you give somebody then?
For the most part, I don't know that there ever is good advice.
The best advice is no advice, right?
The best advice is make sure you go with your heart, because, you got
to be passionate about it.
If you're not passionate about it, you're already, every single one of the odds are stacked against you.
Yeah.
I mean, the statistics are, 3% of all businesses that are launched fail within the first year. And, people who rebrand have, a 20% chance of success because they, have eroded their original brand, but unfortunately there are a lot of other things that are now coming up that are non-traditional business. Social media, is a huge one. So, if I'm going to, I guess, give a business owner a suggestion, make sure that when you are sharing with somebody and you are interacting with somebody, that it is, you're friending them and you're taking care of them. You're not just preaching to them.
Well, there's so many businesses that don't take advantage of online. It's really quite amazing to me how many businesses don't have an online presence.
And I talk to a lot of them. I mean, those are great ones to talk to in so many ways. But what you end up finding out is, first of all, they're most likely doing everything they can to just keep their store open.
Yeah, they don't have time to tweet and time to...
Right.
Yeah.
But then the other part of it is, I mean, even when I started this whole entire thing, I come up with this, the idea was the little chalkboard when you walk in a door, or when you walk in a restaurant, you see that little chalkboard and it says today's specials. I said, if I can put that on someone's phone, I'm doing something that's not being done. And I could win there, and that would be kind of cool. And then it just blew up from there. Yeah. But then I started working on this, and I started researching and digging and digging and digging. And when I got to the bottom of everything, I read all of these books, and I mean, I spent hours upon hours, and what it came down to was, okay, now I need to create the Twitter page, the Facebook page, the YouTube, the this, and they have to be branded exactly the same. And on Twitter, you need to be sharing X amount of times a day, and on Facebook, you should be sharing this many times a day. And you need to make sure that when you're talking to people that you're friending these ones, and it just, I sat there and I was like, it's
a little overwhelming.
Yeah. And so my original commercial, in my mind, when I was thinking about this thing, was to say, when you have a business, you need to create a social front. And I had all these icons flying in over and over and over and over and over. And I said, where does it stop? And I wanted all the icons to explode out and have my logo there and say, there's a better way. Yeah. Still haven't made it, but we'll get there. So it's kind of interesting.
So what, besides Merco Local, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
You know what? My family.
Yeah.
Right now, my wife is the biggest motivator in so many ways. I mean, it's tough for her. Uh-huh. She puts up with a lot. She puts up with
She's pretty supportive.
Sleeping. She is, you know, she believes in me.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's good to find somebody like that.
Thank goodness, because she doesn't have to. Yeah. She really doesn't have to. And when I decided to jump, she had reservations, and justifiably so, but she's there. She listens to me. She hears me gripe. She hears me moan. She hears me complain. And, what are the positive things that have happened? And there are times when she's like, yeah, maybe we should talk about something else. But
she's pretty supportive.
She's absolutely.
Yeah. And it's good to find somebody like that.
Yeah. I mean, and it's awesome. And then the kids, they think it's kind of cool. One of the things, so my children, their father lived in Salt Lake. He was a big local advocate. His name was Lance Ashton. He had a coffee shop, Grounds for Coffee on 33rd, and he passed away. And so one of the things that I can do with this that's kind of cool is I have an animated commercial that is all but done. And
now the animation, do you do this or do you kind of have
No,
I was going to say, I didn't know if you were like any kind of into that as well.
I have contracted with a local business to take care of my animation.
I love
it. Shout out for Ian Johnston at TML. He's been amazing.
Pretty good with animation.
So talented. So talented. Emmy nominated. Just an amazing. I would plug him all day long.
Yeah.
He's amazing to work with. He gets it. But so we have our protagonist in our little animated commercial, Lance B. Local, and he essentially I don't want to reveal too much, but it talks about shopping locally and keeping money within the community. And we have some villains, Walter and Martin. They own a superstore, so you can put that together, and it's kind of fun. So the intent is to actually have Lance be local on our billboards. He will somewhat be our mascot. And this is something I get to give to my kids, because when we get to drive around the Salt Lake area and they see a billboard and they see
look at that.
That's their, that's their one of their biological fathers, the other one's adopted. And I get to give that to them. And I mean,
a sense of satisfaction, pride there. Yeah.
The kids can drive around and say, hey, that's my dad.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool. And, I made sure with his brother and a few of his friends that it was okay. And I really feel good. I think it's a great tribute to be able to give to my children.
So you've lived here in Salt Lake for quite a while.
Sure.
Pretty much your whole life, pretty much, besides living here and there. What do you like about the city overall? What do you like? Why Salt Lake? What do you like about living here? Besides shopping local and all of that, I mean, a little bit about what you like about the city.
Salt Lake is such a neat area, and we live up in the Cottonwood Heights area.
Beautiful area.
And it's a great area. And I mean, we have such a fantastic view, and we can run up to Snowbird and enjoy Oktoberfest, or we can go up to Park City and go have some fun. But then you come downtown and you just park the car and you get to walk around. My office is downtown, and it's awesome.
The Merco Local
absolutely.
Office is right downtown.
I'm right downtown. And so, I get here and just walking around the area, there's so much really cool culture, and there are so many layers.
Do you have any favorite spots or restaurants that Don likes?
One that we go to quite a bit is Porcupine. We just left Gourmandies. Plug for both that are not on my site.
But delicious food.
Gourmandies, if you haven't been there, their pastries are just amazing, and they have just great food. So we go to Gourmandies quite a bit. There's a great little mom and pop shop up on Murray Holiday Road called Normandy. We go there quite a bit.
I've heard about it. I've heard about it. I haven't been there. Yeah.
You got to go. And they get it. They have this little 2 for $25 special. You can go in 3 courses, and it's good stuff.
Is there anything that you would change about Salt Lake if you had the opportunity?
I don't think so. It's an impossible question to answer.
Well, true. Because if you change something, it might change what it is.
Yeah. You may not like Rose Park, but
that's what makes Salt Lake.
That's what makes Salt Lake.
Yeah.
So, I think it's almost impossible to answer that question. The best way to say it is, if we didn't have the diversity that we have, and we didn't have all the different things,
then it wouldn't be the city it is.
Yeah. I don't want to say one way or the other whether I agree with some of the things that happen, but if people didn't challenge the norm here in Salt Lake,
then the abnormal wouldn't fight back.
Yeah, it wouldn't be much fun. So, I love I get to work with a lot of different people that I'm bringing in to talk to stuff, and the hipster generation is just so amazing. I've got one of the local business owners has been giving me just some phenomenal feedback. He owns Hands of Industry.
Like what kind of feedback? Like just kind of,
I'm in my 40s.
Yeah.
So my perspective of social media and what I want to see and how it works is completely different than somebody who is younger.
the younger generation gets it. They just get on, and it's like they don't even need to. Oh, I already know how to do that, and it's like, well, you haven't even been on the website. You can't. You don't even. How do you know how to do that?
Absolutely, and with him, I mean, he's seen my apps, and he's like, oh, this is what you're doing wrong. We need to change it here, and we need to do this, and it's just a different perspective. But it's
the online world, man. That's where it's great. That's where it's at.
And gosh, a year from now, the people that are coming up behind him are going to be like, no, you're doing it all wrong. This is how, it changes so rapidly. And
do you know what's the percentage of people that have smartphones these days? Do you know any of those kind of statistics?
I don't.
I'm just curious. You rarely see a flip phone. Everybody's got an iPhone or an Android. You got a mini computer in your pocket.
We had this conversation actually in my office today. And the gentleman that we were interviewing said, everyone owns a smartphone, but the guy that doesn't own a smartphone, he's just a contrarian. He's always just he's fighting back, and he's kind of biting off or cutting off his nose to spite his face. But he's the guy that when you're having the conversation and you're like, so how many games did the Jazz win last year? And he'll go, I don't know, look it up.
Yeah.
And he'll ask somebody to look it up on their phone. So even though they're fighting the norm, the reality of it is he's just as involved.
So mercolocal.com, that's a website.
Uh-huh.
How else can people find? I mean, where are you at? You're on Facebook, Twitter?
We have the Facebook page, we have the Twitter page. Right now, we just went live. So we have very few followers. I would love to have more followers on Twitter. Facebook, I think Monday. Today's
Thursday.
Today's Thursday. So Sunday night, we started actually promoting the Facebook page. We had like 7 followers, and there's like 85 this week.
Yeah,
so it's been pretty good.
It takes a while.
Thank you to all my friends.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You got to have supportive friends.
So one of the things everybody always asks me where the name Merco Local comes from.
Share that.
Such a dumb name. So where did it start? Well, try to find a domain name with local in it.
That isn't taken.
And
you got to have a .com.
And you're in trouble. You got to have a .com. If it's a .net, you're done.
Yeah.
So I was in the Marine Corps. And there's a naval term that a civilian merchant ship, the nickname for it is a Merco. Okay. So I actually played with that, and I said Merco Local. Well, it's a mouthful and everything, but I was sitting in my basement creating this. I felt somewhat like the Unabomber after a while, trying to change everyone's mind. I wrote down Merco Local, and I looked it up, and it was available, and I kind of in my head joked, and I went back to when I was a kid and was in the swimming pool and said Marco Polo. So we did Merco Local.
It sticks with you.
It
does.
And I was like, oh, this is great. I could have this great branding campaign where I have some guy driving down the road yelling out Merco, and then I have this big city and then this small shop yelling out local, and that would be really fun. And so I penciled it in, and I told a dozen people or so, just kind of farmed it out and said, what do you think of this? And the irony was, a month later, I call them back and they're like, oh, I still remember the name.
Yeah, they didn't.
And by that point, I had bought the domain name and I hated it. It was too big of a mouthful. It was too hard to say, but it stuck and people remembered it. And it's kind of fun to tell the story. And when so our cartoon, the animation will have the Merco Local, and we'll have that alliteration on the radio and those kind of things, and it just sticks.
Yeah.
The reality of it is, if you don't have something that's going to be remembered, it'll be forgotten. So, that's kind of where it came from. A lot of people don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't blame them. It's fun, it's different, and hopefully it sticks.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's definitely different. It's unique. I love the website layout. It seems like it's pretty easy to navigate. I haven't had an opportunity to get on and play with it too much. But anything else you want to add? I appreciate you coming on the podcast and kind of sharing your story a little bit. I think what you're doing is great. Supporting local is great. obviously I'm a big advocate of that,
One plug that I will throw out, just because it's not too far off. I want people to support the site. I want them but Local First.
Great organization.
Phenomenal organization. And October 10th, Local First has a what they call Celebrate the Bounty. It is their largest fundraiser. It's a celebration of all the local businesses, some of the great little restaurants. They have a silent auction, food, drinks. It's just a great night. They're selling tickets now. It's at the Rio Grande station. So, I would like to throw out a plug for them, because the more money that goes into Local First, the better chance of success that I have. I am a Leader Circle sponsor of Local First. We have a VIP table at the Celebrate the Bounty. I am walking the walk as well. So, throw out a plug. Nan, you're awesome. She's the executive director. Her and Kristen work their butts off.
They do. If it wasn't for them, a lot of businesses probably wouldn't succeed.
I don't know if you realize, but Local First is 2 people. They have a board.
I didn't know that.
They have a board, but they have 2 employees and a handful of volunteers. And what they have done with 2 people is absolutely amazing. So huge shout out.
I need to get one of them on the podcast. I really do.
I'll give you their number.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Any other events coming up? You mentioned that one on October 10th. Any other events you're kind of excited about that you care to talk about a little bit, I guess?
So,
why we got you here?
there is another event that actually comes up in November. Local First does a Shift Your Spending campaign. And what that is we have Black Friday. And what does Black Friday mean to most people?
Supporting big business.
Supporting big business. Standing in lines at 3 o'clock in the morning so that you can save
Whoever
$5.
invented that idea, I want to shoot him. No, not really. But
So what I would like to do, what Local First does and what they really push is for that week of after Black Friday, is they encourage people to shop local. And so what I'm going to do is piggyback on that, if you will, or assist them if I can. But I really want to work with my merchants and talk to them and get them to really come up with something that makes sense. And we're going to have our Black Friday that's going to last throughout the month of November through December. And we really want to push that shopping local. Even if you don't use the site, even if you are just out shopping, remember that week after Black Friday is a Shift Your Spending week. And they just ask, what Local First asks is they say, spend 10% of what you normally would at a mom and pop shop. I would challenge you and I'd say spend as much as you can.
Yeah. Why not do all your Christmas shopping?
Do your Christmas shopping locally. You want to see something cool, go to the farmer's market or go to some of these little craft things where mom and pop shops are nothing more than 1 or 2 people that are hand making crafts or hand making clothes. That's where the culture is, and that's where it's really cool. And if you want to give somebody something, it shouldn't have a tag that says made in China.
Made it right here in Salt Lake City,
maybe
right here in Utah.
Engraved that says made by so-and-so.
And a lot of these people too, people don't realize a lot of them are working second jobs as well as their local, their main job. So,
another plug, Jay from the Hive Winery. The Hive Winery, great wine up in Layton. Jay is a full-time engineer. His wife is a full-time engineer, and the Hive Winery, he works full-time as well. I talked to Jay the other day, and he just puts so much into it. He's on my site, and he's putting so much into it. And him and I were talking, and I had said, I haven't taken a check in 10 months, and I'm hoping someday to make a little bit of a profit. And Jay said to me, well, I believe so much in what I'm doing. I don't think I'm pretty sure I haven't taken a check since about 2008. And everything he does, he just puts right back into the business. He works a full-time engineering job, turns around and works all night long to make his wine because he loves what he's doing and he's just trying to gain some traction. And if you haven't had all of it. Yeah, I mean, every one of them you've got to try. They're just amazing. He's got a new plum wine that's coming out. He's got some hard apple ciders, a pitch for him or a plug for him. He's looking for local businesses to carry his product. So
I'll carry him in my fridge.
So, restaurants that are, wanting to be a little bit eclectic or offer something that's local, and he's looking for distributors. So, something to think about, and it's just kind of sharing that wealth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's important, like kind of how you're sharing that information with people, obviously listening, but it's important to share. If you back to what you were even saying, if you find something unique and different, share with your family and friends.
Absolutely.
Don't keep it a hidden secret.
And that's one of the things with my site. Going back to the business.
Yeah, no.
One of the things with the site, when you find a merchant that you really like, or it's one of your favorites, I have all of the share buttons on there, so you can share that merchant on Facebook. You can share them on Twitter and here and there and there. By just that one person sharing, I mean, everybody has a couple hundred Facebook friends. They don't have anybody to drink a beer with on Friday, but they have a ton of friends. But, if they share that one business, if everybody shares one business, that business has just that little bit more of a chance.
Absolutely.
If the business is offering a promotion, look at that promotion right down below it. I have a little share button. You can share it on all of the other social medias. So if that promotion makes sense, push that out.
Is there a spot like to write reviews at all, or are you not?
Absolutely not.
You're not really getting
Absolutely
into that.
not. Reviews.
They can hurt a business.
Reviews can ruin a business in a quick hurry. And I'm
not a big fan of them.
There are review sites out there, but there are also, as a lot of people don't realize, there are review writing companies out there, and you can sabotage a business by hiring a company to do so. You can sabotage a business by having your employees, write bad reviews. People, as a general rule, and everyone is going to argue with me. People are going to tell me that I'm wrong. You know what? I write reviews because I really like this business. But you know what? As a whole, a large majority of people, a large percentage of people, if they're going to take the time to write about it, it's because they're upset.
Oh, yeah.
And
what happened to going to the manager?
Yeah, well,
if
you want to go to the manager through my site, you can click email.
But why not go to the manager when you're in the business or the store?
They're not there or whatever, and that's one of the things. So instead of having a review and instead of handling it out in the public, I have a quick little easy email this business. You can send them a nastygram and say, I don't like you and yada da. Or you can say, hey, look, I had a problem. This is what it is. And give them a chance to correct it.
Yeah.
I would dare say the vast majority of business owners out there are not going to tell their customer to kiss their butts.
Yeah.
They're going to say, hey, you know what?
Well, and everybody has a bad day.
What can I do to make it right? You can't control your employees. You can't guarantee that they're not going to make a mistake. You can't guarantee that every meal goes out perfect. It happens. And so if someone has a complaint, even if you don't use my site, even if you don't use whatever, take a moment and think that if you are doing a review, that review can and will negatively affect that business. They don't go away. Those reviews stay on there forever, and they haunt that business. And so, some people are that way. Some people are just going to go, you know what? I don't care. I don't care if I shut them down. But the reality of it is, put yourself in their shoes. And before you click that 1 star and before you just badmouth the heck out of them, take just a moment and say, what if it was me?
Or at least give them another chance. Maybe go eat another meal there, or go shop there again, or try to talk to the manager or assistant manager or anything
Absolutely.
like that. So,
I mean, that's the beauty of being in a community is to be a good citizen.
Yeah. Anyways, anything else you want to add? Run down the ways people can get in touch with you, Don.
Mercolocal.com, MERCOLOCAL.com. We will have the app in the Android store and the iPhone store. We're on Facebook, Merco Local. Twitter is @Merco Local.
And I'll have all the links on the show notes as well.
Yeah. They're right on the page.
Yeah.
if there is a business owner that wants to get a hold of me, by all means, I created a Merco Local profile on the site as well. The contact us information is right there on the site. I would love to have as many businesses as I possibly can, and not from the monetary standpoint, but the more that we can offer the people, the more likely the people are going to come. And I really think we can make a difference.
Yeah. I highly suggest people to check out the website. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Many thanks, Don, for coming on the podcast and sharing your story, the Merco Local story, and giving us a little more information about what you got going on. Very much appreciated. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to our conversation. MercoLocal.com is the website. You can find all of the links for to get in touch with him on Twitter and Facebook, the website, all at the iamsaltlake.com/97 show notes for this episode. So get in touch with Don. Let him know you heard him on the I Am Salt Lake podcast. Let him know what you think of his project. I think it's really going to help out with the Salt Lake City businesses, the mom and pop shops. There's so many great shops here in Salt Lake City. It's kind of going to be a nice hub to be able to get on there and say, okay, I'm going to shop local today. I want to make sure I'm giving my dollar to the local community, which I strive to do every day that I live here in this beautiful city, and give back to the community that has given so much to me. So make sure to check that out, mercolocal.com. Many thanks to everybody for your support of the show, the podcast, the I Am Salt Lake podcast. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/IamSaltLake or twitter.com/IamSaltLake. Try to keep you guys up to date on anything and everything going on around our beautiful city, any events. If there's any events you want me to promote on the podcast, drop me an email at iamsaltlake@gmail.com. Let me know what's going on. Maybe I'd bring you on the podcast and have you share your story. Also, voicemail 385-202-5926. Give me a call. Let me know what you think of the show. If you have any events, I'd love to play those on the show as well. Or if you just want to say hello, give me a call, 385-202-5926. Really quickly, I want to let you know of a few ways that you can help out the podcast. There is a donate button on the website. $1 or $2 goes a long ways. Helps keep the podcast alive, helps keep it going, helps support, keep the audio bandwidth going, the website. Helps us get a new equipment for the show. Just go to iamsaltlake.com/donate. Again, $1 or $2 goes a long ways. And many thanks to everybody that has kicked on over a few bucks. Very much appreciated. So thank you very much. Also, you can help out the show by posting any of your favorite episodes on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, any of your social media sites. That's a great way to help out the show as well, and very much appreciated. If you would like to be a guest on the show, if you're doing something really cool in Salt Lake City, get in touch. I'd love to bring you on. That's going to do it for this episode. I'm here Monday and Thursdays with a new episode, a new show, introducing you to locals, professionals, people in Salt Lake. So hopefully you guys will join me again on Thursday as I introduce you to somebody else in Salt Lake City. Thank you very much for listening. Again, my name is Chris Hollifield, and I will see you guys again very soon. So thank you very much.